How can you choose a high-paying career? In this video, that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm here with my buddy Dan Lok here, and we're shooting in Vancouver. And if you're just joining for the first time, I'm John from bulldogmindset.com. Dan's got some great advice on this. Before we do though, I want to encourage you to take a look at one of the videos that Dan and I recorded where we go over Dan's whole background. Dan tells you how he retired young, what happened after that, how he made his first $1 million at 27 years old. It's really good story, I think. So just to give you some background on Dan. One thing, as Dan and I were talking before we shot this video, he was asking me, what kind of advice do you give to 18-year-old kid? And I'm going to give you kind of what I do is what I tell them, and their parents don't like it. All right, is I say don't go to college. I say never get a job, not working for someone else. Go to Thailand, okay, live really cheaply, or live in your parents' basement, or get a roommate, or multiple roommates, or share a room, right? Basically live as cheaply as possible, never get a job working for someone else, and instead focus on building a business for yourself, okay? And focus on, in 1 year, getting to the point where you can make $1,000 a month. Anyone pretty much can do this, okay? And once you do this, the reason why I say this is because you'll be financially free for the rest of your life, right? Your income will only go up over time, but you'll start off your life being free, right? Most of us, myself included, I started off my life being a slave to working for someone else. And I had to, when I eventually got free, my barrier to entry or to exit was higher because I had expenses. I had to pay $7,000, $8,000 a month.
It took you longer.
Exactly.
To be free.
Yeah. So if you're just starting out, that's kind of the advice that I give. But I'm curious, your take on this, Dan, and just on how someone can, what should they do? What should they do?
There are many different career paths that you can choose.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And over the years, myself, even with my companies, I've had ups and downs.
Sure.
Just like any business, right? It's not always going to be smooth sailing. I have had my ups and downs, but over the years, I can always fall back on my skill sets,
right?
My high income skill sets. So I think when it comes to, if you're a young person, you're starting out, you're choosing your career, there are a few factors you need to consider. Here's what I believe.
Okay.
Companies, organizations, and entrepreneurs, they are always willing to pay someone to bring in revenue.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
They're always willing to pay someone to bring in revenue. Now, if you are a coder, you in the product creation kind of category, which is perfectly fine, and maybe you're making high income. But companies, again, will always pay for someone to bring in revenue. Right. Those are the rainmakers, the revenue generators for the company. So in terms of career, if you're working at a job, if you're in those positions, they would be the last one to cut.
Right, exactly, because they need revenue.
They need revenue.
Yeah, they're done once they don't have revenue.
They need revenue,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
And they're always willing to pay a premium price for someone that can do that. So in terms of, it could be marketing, it could be, back then I was doing copywriting, right? Why am I able to charge someone $5,000 to $10,000 for a few pieces of paper that I wrote?
Right.
It's not the ink on the piece of paper, it's what those pieces of paper could do, which is to produce a lot of revenue for the company.
Okay, sure.
It's that simple. Why do companies are willing to pay top closers, top dollars? Why? Because they are the ones that bring in revenue for the company, right? So they're always willing to do that. And second thing is, you think about, again, going through a cycle. You want to, what I call recession proof your income.
Okay, sure.
Okay, let me give you an example. So let's say I have a friend of mine who has a high income skill, which he is a golf instructor.
Okay, sure.
Making $15K a month, that's good money. He's a golf instructor, makes a lot of good money. But imagine when the recession hits.
Right.
Were people still willing to pay him as much? Or will he be losing clients? He could go from 15K, it could be to 5K overnight.
Sure, yeah.
But when times are bad, I call that recession proof, or kind of think about it as like the bar business, okay?
Oh, okay, yeah.
When times are good, people go have a drink.
Right.
When times are bad, people go have 2 drinks. Okay?
True.
So it's a recession proof concept. Okay, if you get recession proof income, when times are good, companies are willing to pay someone to bring in revenue.
Right.
When times are bad, they're willing to pay more money for someone to bring in revenue.
Exactly, yeah.
So if
That's a good
you
point,
are going to pick a career, if you pick something that's even as a young guy, your advantage is your age.
Right, okay,
So
sure.
maybe you know Instagram very well. Offer that. Help people manage an Instagram account, grow the Instagram account. You can charge a lot of money for it.
Sure.
So they will not look at you as your age as a disadvantage. They will
Right.
look at you as an advantage. Good, you're young person, you know this shit. Awesome, we need you, right? Maybe it's managing Facebook. Maybe it's doing digital marketing. Maybe it's doing closing, which is what I teach, right? They don't care about your age. They care, can you produce results?
Right. I've said on the channel, I've said basically anyone, I'll hire you if you make me more money than you cost.
That's it.
And I said any entrepreneur, anyone looking for a job,
That's
if you
it.
come to any entrepreneur and you can prove to them that you can make them more money than you're asking for,
It's simple.
You're hiring.
Because then you are not a cost. Because as a CEO, they look at every single person that's on the payroll. These are the revenue generators.
Right.
These are the expenses.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
When time gets tough, who are they going to cut first?
Right.
They're going to cut all the customer service. They're going to cut all the maybe couple accounting person. Or these people, do we need that? We don't need any of that, right? The middle management, yeah, we don't need those guys, right?
Right.
Oh, these guys we can't touch because they're the only ones that are bringing revenue that's keeping the company going. Actually, we need to hire more of these guys
Exactly, yeah.
to bring in more revenue.
While they're cutting other people, they're hiring the revenue generators for
Yeah,
sure.
so when you pick a career, I think take that into consideration where can you develop a skill set? Can you pick a career that you are actually bringing in money for the company? And a lot of these skills, they don't take forever to learn. Like my copywriting skill, it took me
Right.
1 year.
Okay, yeah.
One solid year to be good enough to charge good money for what I do.
And see, I think a lot of people, they think that's not right. That's their fairness comes into play and they're like, that's got to be a scam or something. Like, how can you charge people a bunch of money, more money than I'm charging after going to school being a doctor for 8 years for something that you just learned in a year?
Yeah.
And it's the market that's paying it. It's not what the world is fair.
Because first of all, what dictates your worth is not the company, it's the marketplace.
Right, exactly.
So example, if I'm offering my service as a Instagram marketer, okay? I'm charging $1,000 a month right now, hypothetically, let's say. I'm a young guy, I'm 20 years old. Okay. Maybe I work on my closing skill a little bit.
Right.
The next client that gets on the phone, potential client, I'm gonna charge $2,000.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
And the clients are willing to pay me for $2,000 a month, I've just doubled my income.
Right.
It has nothing to do with what you do, it has everything to do with your ability to communicate and close.
Right.
So it has nothing to do with it. And when people talk about scam or, I hear this sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you cannot develop a skill and make all this money, it must be a scam. Here's my take.
Right.
If you're over 25 years old, you got nothing to show for, you've already been scammed. You've already been scammed.
True. Yeah.
You've been scammed by the school system. You've been
Yeah.
scammed by the government. You've been scammed by the corporation. You
Right.
got nothing. You have nothing. You got $0 in bank account. You've already been scammed. Because scam to me is being taken advantage of without realizing it.
Right.
That's
yeah.
my definition of a scam.
Sure.
You got nothing for people to scam for. You got nothing. So if that's the case, people think about if anything that's outside of the norm, anything that's like, oh, you can develop skill in 60 days, 90 days, or 6 months.
Okay.
That's not normal. That cannot be right.
Right. That's what. Yeah.
Oh, 6 years,
Right.
student loan.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
Just think about it. It makes no fucking sense.
No, but that's
It makes
what
no sense.
everyone's been taught. That everyone believes that until they see otherwise.
And the school system has done a phenomenal job. The media's done a phenomenal job brainwashing people to believe in a certain way, right?
Yeah.
They've done that, and that's why anything outside the norm. Because it's really, you think about it, just weigh the pros and cons. How is this making more sense than this? It makes no sense.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Then that's why I think, however, I do think it's shifting. I think a lot of young people, they are getting smarter.
Right.
They can see the parents, they can see that, you know what, mom and dad, I love you, but your philosophies didn't work out so well,
Right.
didn't turn out so well, right? And that's also partially why I believe, even my YouTube channel, your YouTube channel, why people are searching online for alternatives.
Sure, yeah.
They're like, you know what, there must be a better way.
Right.
This cannot be the only way. And that's why it's my growth, how I went from 10,000 subscribers to now 1 million subscribers in 2 years.
Right.
I don't think it's because I'm so freaking great. It's just because people are looking for answers.
Exactly.
Right? They're looking for what are some of the other ways I can do this? Are there a faster path that I don't have to walk the traditional path? And there is. And that's what resonates with people.
Exactly. And if you're looking for more ways to do this, more on what Dan has said here, we're going to teach you. We've got a free masterclass. You can just click on the link in the description below. I'll also have it up in the card. Free masterclass Dan and I are putting on. We're going to talk more about this. We're going to talk about specifically how to develop these skills, how you can do this, right? If you're searching for that answer, both Dan and I have been able to find this, right? We're not working for someone else, right? We have this ability to generate money for companies. So if you want to learn about that, definitely click that link. Also, free gift Dan has so graciously provided. You've probably seen, I did a review on this book. If you haven't, go check it out. But this book is awesome. He's going to give away this FU Money book, as well as the audio version. That's what I would listen to, because I'm a big runner. So when I'm running, I'm listening to audiobooks at 3.5x speed. Challenge for you. But, all right, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dan. And make sure you join us.